Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarity. I will be your host. We're going to go on a quest for truth together. And tonight, friends, we have a very special guest. A warm welcome to the one and the only Alfred Lambremont Webre.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very pleased to be here, and I feel very much at home. You've made me feel very at home.
Well, awesome. I'm glad that you do. For those of you who don't know Alfred, I don't know where you've been, but anyway, he's a futurist. He's got the world's coolest middle name. And
That's a Louisiana French name, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm actually named after Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. No,
I was named after my grandfather, who was named after a friend of his father, who was Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana.
Okay, now that's interesting. I was going to say, Lambremont. It sounds like some kind of Buick or something. The Buick Lambremont.
Oh, no, and then in this day and age of the internet, the people from Lambremont, Belgium, contacted me to ask me if I was from Lambremont, Belgium, because Lambremont means the Golden Mountain.
Oh.
And there's a whole Lambremont family and a town of Lambremont, and it's endless.
Wow. If you follow this guy around, he might lead you to a golden mountain. That's what that means.
That's right. It's right. It's a golden mountain.
Of information, maybe.
So I've always greatly appreciated it. And of course, then there's the Lamb of Revelation. You can't forget about that one.
Oh, yes.
Especially in this day and age.
Yeah. It really is. Now, you are, you've been to all sorts, University of Texas, Yale University. We could go on and on. Half the show could be all of your accolades. You've really, and in all kinds of areas of law and environmental law and everything like that. And you also are the guy who kind of invented exopolitics, right? With your landmark.
Yeah. And this is where Andy and I are what's called time travel entangled, because this is my book, Exopolitics.
Awesome.
That I wrote here in Vancouver, Canada in 1999. I put it on the internet in the year 2000 as a free ebook. It was published as a soft cover like this in the year 2005. And Project Pegasus, the CIA time travel project, top secret time travel project that Andy was affiliated with, time traveled it from 2005 back to 1971, where Andrew, as a childhood participant, was sitting around a table with his father and one other person, and they brought out a satchel with classified material, and out popped Exopolitics by Alfred Lambremont Webre in 1971. And here it is. And of course, you open it up and it says, edited by Andrew D. Bashago. And that's why the CIA time traveled it back, because one of their time travelers edited it. And at the time, I was general counsel of the Environmental Protection Administration of the city of New York under Mayor John Lindsay. This is 1971. I was, noise abatement, air pollution, water pollution, doing my thing. Mm-hmm. I had a cadre of environmental lawyers. And one of my jobs was to give speeches on the environment to student groups, environmental groups. And I got a call one day to go talk to this group. Well, when the person showed up, he wasn't at all like the normal group. It was a man in a suit, and So we drove for about 2 hours, and we got to this nondescript building, went up to second floor, and there were about 50 other men in suits and ties and shirts and ties. It looked like one of those NASA rooms, you know. Well, it was all the government operatives from DARPA CIA and their time travel, because they had brought my book back from 2005 by time travel, and they wanted to see what I looked like in 1971, because they knew that in 2005 I would be publishing a book on the science of exopolitics. So that was my first experience in what I call time travel surveillance. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. I mean, that just blows your mind. So folks out there, if you want your whatever you're working on to be intercepted by the government and time traveled into the past, just put Andrew's name on it.
That's about it. That's about it. And so then when if we fast forward in time, then in the year 2000, Andy looked me up, and we got together, and we figured out that that's what had happened, right? And I suddenly realized that, oh my God, I got time travel surveyed, because at that meeting, you know, when I was with about 50 time travel CIA agents back in 1971, they were looking at me and making faces at me. And, you know, I put on double vision. I said, these guys are government operatives. This is not an environmental audience, right? So, but I just powered through my normal environmental stump speech, right? And we put two and two together, and we said, this is DARPA CIA's Project Pegasus, that they wanted to see what I looked like. And because I would go on, let me just go here to my pile of books, you know, because I've made a career of this, writing books about time travel. You can believe it, right?
Yeah.
And I went on. Let me see. I'm getting to it here. I went on then to write a book called The Chronography.
Look at that. Turn that sideways. That thing's thick.
This is like 818 pages. And the Chronography is the secret time travel government, which Andy Bashago is dedicated to Andy.
Right.
And it's a secret time travel government. And if you want, I can read from the first couple of paragraphs in chapter 1 as to what the Chronography is. Do you want me to do that?
That would be fantastic. We would love that.
Okay, so what is the Chronography? The Chronography is an interdimensional hidden power structure monitoring the time-space of Earth as its domain of influence, operating as a secret government using quantum access time travel technologies to carry out its operations and mandates. In the third density of Earth's time-space dimensional hologram, the Chronography develops and deploys a variety of quantum access time travel technologies to carry out its elaborate long-range past, present, and future-based construction and manipulation of an artificial time-based meme legend within which to entrap and enslave manipulation of an artificial time-based meme legend within which to entrap and enslave human minds' souls. The Chronography is an interdimensional alliance dedicated to the oppression of the community of human souls and includes factions in human institutions such as religions, governments, military intelligence agencies, bloodline families, monarchies, media, medical pharma, as well as archonic spiritual entities, including fallen angels, demonic entities, and exophenotypes hostile to the human community of souls, such as Draco Reptilian and Aryan Greys, and sentient AI artificial intelligence. U.S. Presidents George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald J. Trump, and Joseph Robinette Biden were pre-identified by the Chronography's secret presidential time travel pre-identification program. We would not know that were it not for what I call an epochal whistleblower, Andrew D. Basiago. So that's the Chronography.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And I have your table of contents, which is
There you
incredible
go.
read as well. I mean, so there's a lot of stuff here. Chapter 1, the Chronography and a positive timeline for the universe, multiverse, and omniverse. There's 3 of them, I guess. Is that the new Trinity, maybe.
Whoa.
Chapter 1 to 2, how the Chronography uses time travel to control humanity. It goes on and down a little bit. A brief history of time travel, part 1 by U.S. chrononaut Andrew D. Basiago on page 77. So he starts it off pretty early there. Now, in addition to Andrew, is there anybody else that you cite in the book that's critical to this information?
We have here that, let me go. We have lots of, you see what we've done, and your listeners can actually go right now, or at their leisure, to Omniversity. What we like, you have University and we have Omniverse. Well, Omniversity is the new multidimensional knowledge platform, where at universities were developed to study universes, but universities gatekeep multidimensional information. So we had to develop omniversities. And if you go to omniversity.info, you will find there are 25. You just register there. It's free. It's a free online platform. And you register there, and you will find 25 or so free introductory classes, including Professor Andrew D. Basiago talking about an introductory to time travel. So this is the new knowledge. And we have a lot of different teachers and professors there. We have Andy. We have a lot of others who have contributed to this, who have contributed complete chapters. Lily Earthling Colasoa, Kosol Ush, Dr. Catherine Horton, Ananda Bosman, Dr. Raymond Keller, Dr. Raymond Keller has spent 6 weeks on Venus.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and Venusians use time travel a great deal. And so there's a lot of advanced knowledge that we have used here. But Andy has been I call him an epochal whistleblower, because the amount and the depth and the quality of information that he gives coming forward, both as a Mars visitor and as a time traveler, is just, the scope is huge, so that it's from that one gets a concept of the secret space program and of the chronography of the time travel secret government.
Yes. Wow. That's and I'm on the site here, Omniverse here. We're looking at some of the books.
Yeah, they've now translated our Omniverse books into German, Hungarian, Chinese,
Wow.
Spanish.
Look at that.
So this is knowledge that is going internationally. I mean, Chinese alone, I think that there are 2 billion potential readers. So we're getting this information out there, and that's our purpose. And so with omniversity.info, that's the new learning platform for multi-dimensional knowledge. And this is omniversity.us. That's our library and our research platform.
Info. Let's go to that. Uh-oh. Is it going to go there? Oh, maybe I did something wrong. Anyway.
Well, maybe if you opened up a new window. Oh, there. No, that's still at omniversity.us. But if you opened up a new window, because your cache is probably still
right. Okay.
On omniversity.us. Info, omniversity.info.
Info, gotcha. See what we get here. And I'll throw that up there if it comes through. Yes, it looks like it did. Okay.
Oh, good.
Now we'll just switch this out. Thank you again for coming on. I know you've done a couple of different interviews today. So.
Oh well, this is a great pleasure and a great privilege. And so we are just working to bring all of this new knowledge, and so that's welcome to Omniversity. And so it says, what do you want to get out of a free social network? And so you can click there, or you can go all the way down, and it just what Omniversity offers you. It's a free social network in exopolitics, exosciences. What are exopolitics, exosciences? Why Omniversity is a free social network and free learning platform. Beautiful. And then at the bottom, there's a place where you click and you sign up. And signing up just means putting your email address, entering a password, and then you enter in, and which I hope you can do now, and we'll go inside of Omniversity, inside to the campus.
Right here.
You'll see. Yeah, you can choose a plan. Oh, there you go. And there it says free Omniversity
access
registration. Yeah, there you go.
Boom. Hey, this is even simple enough for even me to do. Wow.
Yeah. And then it should go forward. So let's see what happens next.
Well, the faster I pedal my little
there you go. So you would create an account with your first name and your last name.
This is a quiz. I can remember my name.
And then over there it says what you'll pay, and it's free. So to register is free. And then up there on the upper right, it says next. So you'll hit that little kind of purple button. And it says you enter your email, and then you choose a password. Of course, we won't look at that at your password.
Let's see. This is another test here. All right.
Okay, and then
I got to choose a password.
you have to choose a password and confirm it. You could choose a temporary password and then change it afterward. But
I got an
we,
idea. I got an
we,
idea. Let's
yeah.
do this. Let's do this. I'll take that off of there while I do that.
Okay, good.
I'm getting sneaky in my old age.
So now be sure and write your password down so you remember it.
Right. Let's see. Okay, I think I got it. Let's see if I got it. Okay. Then I just hit free, huh? Now hit create account. Uh-oh, I have a weak password.
Well, you can always strengthen it, or one way to strengthen it is to add one of those symbols,
I'll do. Just do that. Okay, now it's up to good. It's good now. I think that's good. Create account. Good enough. Close enough for government work. That's what we used to say all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what's the weather like over there by you?
Slightly overcast right now. Got some, seeing a little bit of blue sky, but mainly overcast.
Okay. Well, I think we can push this back on there now.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. Add to stream. First, it's going to review my password, I bet. Let's review that password in bold. Okay, well, I guess that's...
Says we are gathering the latest activity for you in Omniversity. Oh, here we go. So let's get started. What's the one thing you would like to get from this course? And let's see, you've got a lot of different courses. You've got understanding over there on the right. You've got the science of the Omniverse, discovery of the Omniverse, the science of the Omniverse, understanding chronography, and then on the left, you see that there's a big menus on
here.
On the left, you've got the Omniversity bookstore there on the left menu. That's what we just came from. And then you've got courses. If you click on that, that's a chronography course.
I'm gonna click on that.
Okay, that's a course that I've teach.
Okay, well, this is great. Congratulations on this. This is really, really nice.
Yeah, and we've got one course that's got 25 free classes in it, and it's an introductory course.
Okay.
To 25 free classes in exopolitics, exosciences, and Andy Bishago's one of the professors there.
Oh my goodness! Wow! Wow! This is incredible.
Yeah. So while we're here, we could go to that course now. Understanding the chronography is one of the courses that I teach, and I've got one class in there. And up there it says start, so you can go hit start.
Uh-oh.
And
am I on a timer now? Oh my goodness.
No, I don't think you're on a timer.
Thomas Albertson, that sounds like a familiar person. So there's different people taking the classes.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't have to go to college to get more knowledge. You come to the Omniverse.
Yeah.
Here you go. To get more knowledge.
And somewhere, I'm not quite sure how to do it, but you get to a place and then you click on it, and then I've got a video there. That's the first class.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you click on that plus sign or not. See that plus sign on the
Here.
on the right? Yeah.
Create or quick post. Okay, that's for creating.
Oh, I see. Create post.
Latest activity, last activity, sort by no.
I'm not sure what
It'll take me a while to figure this out.
Yeah.
Understanding the chronography course free.
Yeah, that could be.
There it is. So it was disguised as a button. Or that's under the Thomas Albertson one.
Maybe that's his
his course.
He's a student, and those are his comments.
I see.
But I haven't been there for a while, so I've forgotten exactly how to get to the classes.
I'm just going to put my first impression there. It looks great.
Okay.
Pick a topic. Uh-oh. There we go.
Time travel disclosure.
Here you go. Oh no. Look, I did something. Uh-oh. Now I'm going to be in trouble. Interesting. Well, this is great. I'm going to have to, when I'm not so nervous and feel like everyone's watching me, I'll have to get back on here.
Yeah, there is tons of stuff there. There's 25 free courses, introductory courses. And then there's that course on the chronography, and there's even other courses.
Okay. This is awesome. This is incredible, dude. Well, I got to hand it to you. It's not easy to make a website, and this is pretty elaborate. So
yeah, the Omniversity is part of a thing called Mighty Networks. So we are a platform inside of Mighty Networks.
Awesome. I want to thank Peggy Dancer for the super chat. Thank you so much. That helps to keep the lights on. It looks like there was another one too. Catherine Weiss. Well, thank you so much. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. We're listener supported here. So
that's great.
Every bit helps. And the truth is setting us free.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting more and more subscribers. So thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. And so where else did you do an interview today? So our listeners, maybe after this, they want more?
Okay. In fact, let me kind of bring some of the information. Let me get the information here, and I can share. Let's see if I can share. No, if I can share the.
Mudrabbit just did omniverse.us. Or is it omniverse-info or .info?
Oh, good. Okay, so
something
here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in your private chat.
Okay.
The first meeting that I had this morning, which was with Ghana, London, England, and Ireland.
Wow.
And I think that you'll really enjoy this. Here, let me put this down right here.
Ireland, that's my homeland.
Oh, really?
Well, Moriarity is Irish.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But we're Irish, English, French, Dutch, German, pretty much everything. Probably Neanderthal too.
And then there's the famous Professor Moriarty.
Yeah.
He is so famous.
That's my uncle. No.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it's spelled differently. That Moriarty is Moriarty.
Oh.
Mine is Moriarity. So I have two
Oh,
eyes, whereas Professor Moriarty only has one eye.
oh.
So that's why he squints a lot.
So that is the links from the first meeting that I that
Oh
that I
my.
had.
Oh my. Okay.
So you can click on that, and it if you want, you can see where it says access full News Inside Out coverage. You can click on that,
I can
and
see
that'll go to the whole article, and then you can click on my Ancient News Media account. We can go there because that's a new uncensored social media platform
Okay.
that's connected to a new gold-backed cryptocurrency out of Ghana that is to empower people.
Okay.
That is on the blockchain, and it's not collapsing like Bitcoin and all these other ones that are really just Ponzi schemes.
Yeah.
So that was my first thing of the day.
So I just shared the link at the bottom of that. That should
Which link was that?
that https://newsinsideout.
Oh yeah, fine. Because that'll take you to the master article.
Okay, good.
Which has all of the links.
So below that you have something else. There's a whole bunch of links. Maybe
those are the interview on YouTube, Rumble, and Daily Motion. But those are all contained in the News Inside Out link. So
okay. We need to put those on there. Okay.
But what that is all about this new social media. And these are a group of folks from Ghana that are developing this new thing. And it's not, they're free from contamination from the West and the CIA. Like it was the NSA and the CIA that created Bitcoin. And all of the cryptocurrencies now are based on Bitcoin. So they're all collapsing because that was built into that. And so this is like really coming fresh. And this social media is sort of an uncensored, called Ancient Coin, Ancients Media. And so you can join for free, and that'll be part, of people who are interested in omniversity can get on there. And we're also going to form a new radio station and TV station on there. So if you want to have a show on there, in addition to your show, you can have a show there.
Cool.
So it's these people that are creating things that will not be under the control of the deep state institutions that are pervasive in the West, that are censoring everybody either overtly or covertly.
Oh yeah.
So that's what that was all about.
Yeah, the censoring is. Yeah, I was kicked off of Twitter. A lot of my friends were kicked off of YouTube.
So there you go. I mean, same here. My YouTube. I mean, it's supposedly I have 63,000 subscribers, and I'm so shadow banned. I'm lucky if I get a small amount of viewers because I'm just totally shadow banned, and they take down all of my programs.
It's like a nonstop struggle, and it really should not be. I remember it wasn't too long ago when we heard news reports that the Chinese government was restricting their citizens from seeing certain parts of the internet, and we were outraged. Remember that? Back in the old days, back when we had some freedom? Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And now that's happening in spades to the west.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what our first thing was about. And so, yeah. So this is like a whole movement, and it's coming out of Ghana.
Wow, that's incredible.
And, yeah.
I got a question for you, Alfred.
Yeah.
I do want to get back to asking you questions about this other stuff, but something happened today. I'm sure you might have heard about it. And that is the Georgia Guidestones came down. Do you hear about this?
As a matter of fact, that relates to the second event and interview that I was on.
Okay, good. But I mean,
an explanation was given on the second panel that I was on as to why that was taken down and who took it down.
Okay. Well, do you want to? Is it? Do we have to go and listen to that, or can we get a sneak preview?
No. I can give you because the video for that has not been published.
Okay.
And that was like a 3-panel event, and I was on the second part of the. Well, it was part 1 of the first panel, part 2 of the first panel, and then a second panel. Mm-hmm. And I was on part 2 of the first panel. And Sergeant Patty Broussard, who's a Micmac elder, was part 2 of the panel. And she had the explanation for why the panel, that panel of the Georgia Guidestones, was taken down. And that is that there's a truth-oriented faction of, I wouldn't call them military, but I would call them paramilitary, that takes out these deep underground bases. And they took that out as part of taking down the Illuminati, according to Patty. So that's why they did it. It's kind of a symbolic strike to say, Georgia Guidestones, Illuminati, you guys are toast.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think we all saw the video. There's a video out of it exploding, and it's very unclear as to what the origin of it is. But here's the result, and they had to knock the whole thing down now because I guess it was a hazard. So it's all been destroyed now.
According to Patty, that was done by this paramilitary group that took it out as a symbolic strike against the Illuminati that has put up the Georgia Guidestones, because that connects to the whole pandemic. I don't know if I can say those words. Can I say those words here?
Well, we got to use like code words or something.
Yeah. That connects to a lot of strange stuff.
The spandex.
And so that was a symbolic strike by, according to Sergeant Patty Broussard, who used to be in the military, by this paramilitary group who has been taking down these deep underground military bases that have been the bases of these Illuminati and elite groups. They have been destroying them.
Awesome. Yeah, it's, we always hear stuff like that, but it's hard to, it's nice to see something concrete, if you will, even if it's not taken for granted anymore.
No pun intended.
All puns intended.
But for me, it's amazing that I went through these 2 things that I can come and report about them at my 3rd interview. Isn't that amazing?
That's how quick the information flows these days. It's just
wow. So I experienced these things in my first 2 interviews, and then I come and report on them with my 3rd interview.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, do you think the deep staters are going to put up another one, or do you think they're all done with it? Yeah, I don't think they ever quit. The bad guys never quit. They just keep on keeping
You
on.
know, I think that the history of the Georgia Guidestones is some old geezer put up the money for it, and it was his. It's this meme, right? And the meme is that the perfect planetary balance is 500 million, right? Well, and that's sort of Bill Gates meme. And I think that that's been knocked out of the water.
Good.
And if you go on even Facebook now, you will see these posters at which they've got Bill Gates and about maybe 15 or 20 other people that say wanted, dead or alive.
Yeah.
You know, as supposedly they're the eugenicists that are behind that sort of view. I'm a founding judge of a tribunal of conscience, where you can find our tribunal of conscience at peaceandspace.org. And we have about 20 judges on 4 or 5 continents. And on November 15, 2020, we issued a 108-page indictment under natural and common law, and under Article 6 and 7 under the International Criminal Court statute banning genocide and crimes against humanity. And we issued these against the perpetrators of the demic. And that has been sort of the blueprint of the whole resistance to the demic. And you know, we were able to basically stop it because a lot of the well-known perpetrators behind the Georgia Guidestones, including Bill Gates, we went back and showed that there was a secret meeting at Rockefeller University in 2009, on May 5th, 2009, in the president's room, organized by David Rockefeller Jr., with Bill Gates there and Ted Turner and a lot of other people, whose purpose was to reduce the population of the Earth down to 1 billion. Well, that's half, double of what they wanted here, 500 million. But still, this is like, as you said, the materialization of that meme is no longer valid and no longer exists. And it's like we got a fly swatter and knocked the flies out of the room.
Yeah, it's a glorious feeling. It feels like the good guys are finally winning. It's quite something else, I got to tell you. It just seems like the bad guys are not winning anymore, and the good guys are starting to win. And it's the ship is turning around, and it's, man, I think good things are coming. That's what I see.
Exactly. We're on a positive timeline, and that's where the Earth is headed. And actually, you can go to a number of my books, one of which is Emergence of the Omniverse. It's there in one of the documents that I you can go to omniversity.us, and this comes directly out of Andy Bashago's whistleblowing and disclosure, and that is that he did a one-time chronovisor probe in 2012 and found the U.S. Supreme Court under 100 feet of brackish water,
right,
in 2013. Well, when 2013 came along, and everything was fine. The U.S. Capitol was not under 100 feet of brackish water. And what had happened was that at the end of 2012 to 2013, the U.S., the Earth shifted over to a positive timeline. But prior to that, that chronovisor probe had been given to the deep state, and that's when they went and built all of the underground bases and started this movement toward catastrophism and the Georgia Guidestones and all of that, and the seed vaults in Scandinavia. And that was all a false catastrophic timeline. So the Earth is on a positive timeline now. It shifted to that in 2013, and we're on a timeline to become a paradise planet. And that's been proven.
Well, I'm all for that. Paradise planet. That's, as long as it's not like a paradise like the dice you throw. Right?
No, this is like paradise, like heaven.
It's
not hell, it's heaven.
That's better. That's an upgrade, I would say.
Yeah. And so the deep state that was, power and all of that, and they have lost out. They put their money on the wrong horse.
Mm-hmm. So I got to ask you a question, going back in time a bit here. After you did your book, you offered your book Exopolitics online in 1999, and at some point in the 2000s, Andy got a hold of you. And when it finally came to him that, hey, I'm going to write this or going to edit this book, did you doubt him at first, or were you intrigued? What was your state of mind at that point?
I had instant aha moments. That, let me tell you why. Because what happened to me, and this is all documented, what happened to me is that I was general counsel of the EPA in 1971, right? And then at the end of 1972, my two bosses, New York Mayor John Lindsay and New York EPA Administrator Jerome Kretschmer, both decided to move up in politics. John Lindsay ran for US president, and Jerome Kretschmer ran for New York City mayor. And at that point, I didn't want to move forward in politics. I had been starting to look at multidimensionality. I saw that sort of the rational mind was not totally where it was at. And I reached out and started asking, I started reading books like Morning of the Magicians and Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, and kind of getting into that sort of thing. And I met a Dr. Philip Liss, who was a professor of experimental psychology at Rutgers, but who also was an expert in extraterrestrial issues. And I decided to leave my job right after the beginning of 1973, to leave my job as general counsel and to start as a freelance author in the sort of multidimensional field. Well, right at the beginning of 1973, then, I had my first multidimensional encounter. And I was taken up in an extraterrestrial spaceship. And not only that, but I was witness there. So I'm not just, saying, oh, I was taken up in an extraterrestrial spaceship. But Andrew D. Bashago was taken up by the same extraterrestrials and witnessed me on the spaceship. And he's an attorney, and he testified that he saw me, and he testified at a public conference in Washington State in 2017. And not only that, former President Jimmy Carter was taken out by the same extraterrestrials. And this was as part of my Carter being prepared to run for president and my being prepared to be the director of the Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Study.
Wow.
And this was in 1973-74. And so it was, this was part of Exopolitics. And that was my first actual experience of Exopolitics, because Carter was the first president since John F. Kennedy who had a US president who had a human soul, who was not a reptilian soul.
Wow.
So he was a breakaway from the Bushes and from that whole thing. And so he was taken up into the extraterrestrial spacecraft, and I was, and Andy Bashago was. And so you can go to my book, Emergence of the Omniverse, which is at omniversity.us, or go to exopolitics.com, and the whole presentation is there of how of the Carter Bashago Weber adduction. We don't use abduction, but adduction means taken to the stars. And that's how Jimmy Carter was prepared to become president, and myself prepared to be the director of the Jimmy Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Study. And Andy Bashago was the witness of my being there. And that's how I graduated from being an environmental lawyer to being an exopolitician. So that's where I got my actual on-the-job training, was being up in the spaceship.
Now, Andy's a true friend. He's the kind of friend that will go up on a spacecraft and witness you there to verify it. Now, that's a true friend.
Exactly.
So let me get this straight. I'm painting a mental picture here, and so you get abducted into this craft. I'm assuming it's a very large craft.
Well, Andy says that he saw me inside the craft, and I think I was in one part of the craft where he saw me inside this craft, and he describes it.
Okay.
And I describe, both in exopolitics.com and then in my book, My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth. I wrote which you can get online. It's a 750-page book. It's called My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth. And I wrote it because my wife, who's a PhD psychotherapist, she said, "You've got to document this." Okay. Wow. So I documented it, and it's all documented there. So I documented exactly what occurred there, and that was part of and then after that happened, Jimmy Carter, after he was when we went up to the ships, we were outside of time.
Okay.
And that's where it was coordinated, where Jimmy Carter, it was coordinated for him to be president, and it was coordinated for me to be director of the of the Jimmy Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Project. And so you have this outside of time experience, and then you have the inside of time experience. And after Jimmy Carter won the presidency, there's that interim, between November and January when they take the oath. And in December of 1976, I'm in New York, and I get a call from a very high-ranking insider of the Jimmy Carter campaign who comes and asks to meet me in New York and invites me to a hotel there, and we meet, and he says, Jimmy, because at that point I was a consultant to Representative Henry B. Gonzalez, who is the chairman of the House Select Banking Committee, but also the chairman of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, overseeing the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, and Malcolm X. And so it was at the Carlisle Hotel, and Jimmy Carter sent an emissary to meet with me to say, President-elect Carter is very interested in this and wants to be very close to this committee, because it's not very publicly known that Jimmy Carter is a half-brother of John F. Kennedy, because Jimmy Carter's mother was a secretary of Joseph Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's father, and she fell pregnant. And then Joseph Kennedy sent her back to Georgia, where she got married and then had Jimmy Carter as a son, who then became president. So they're half brothers. But then Jimmy Carter, that's why Jimmy Carter was so committed to finding out who killed John Kennedy. So then Jimmy Carter's emissary had invited me down to Washington before the inauguration, and I met there with the inner circle. They call themselves JC and the 12 Apostles, Jimmy Carter and the inside. And it was at that point, sitting there, that I got the concept and the idea for the Jimmy Carter Extraterrestrial Communication Project, which would be the first civilian-led communication project, because up until that point, all of the ET studies had been done by the military, and the military over at the Pentagon are controlled by the reptilians, not by the humans, not by the advanced ETs. That's the big struggle. And so after that meeting, I went back to New York, and I was put in contact. I had to go out to the West Coast, where my wife and son were for over Christmas, and I contacted Stanford Research Institute, where I contacted the remote viewing unit. And I said, I've just met with the Carter White House people, and we'd like to do a extraterrestrial communication project. And they put me in touch with the Futurist unit at SRI. The Futurist unit made me a job offer, and that's how I went back into the Carter White House to do the Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Project as contract research of SRI. And so Cheryl's asking, why are the ETs not letting the world know that they exist?
Right.
The ETs is not a blanket thing. There's so many different things. It's like a war zone out there. You've got the reptilians, the Orion Greys, you've got the humans, you've got advanced Greys. It's a mixed bag. And so a lot of times to contactees, unless the contactee is very special, the ETs will not allow the contactee to give out true information because they know that the deep state will assassinate the contactee. So it's like a war zone. You know, it is like a war zone. So that's why there's so many gray areas. Now, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so the more that it's like when the Georgia Guidestones are knocked down, the more that the Earth ascends into a higher frequency, and the more that we can abrogate the Greada Treaty, like when President Trump was abrogating the global warming treaty. Well, we drafted a project for him to abrogate the secret treaties with the Draco reptilians, the Greada Treaty, which was the basis for the Draco reptilians abducting all these children and having this whole 175 military bases. The US is like the military proconsuls of the Draco reptilians. And all that came about because of the Greada Treaty. The secret treaties with the US military, the first treaty was signed by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt in Balboa, Panama in 1932 aboard a US battleship. The second one was the Greada Treaty signed by President Eisenhower. These are secret treaties. And the third one was the Tau 9 Treaty signed by President H.W. Bush. And these treaties then become the pretext for the abduction of children for consumption by them, and the abduction of, almost a million humans as slave labor, and for the whole, the entire police of the United States is under these treaties, so that even we've done interviews showing that even the West Virginia State Police, their insignia is the insignia of the pedophile organizations, and all that comes about because of the Greada Treaty. So we walked in. I did a whole proposal to walk into the Oval Office when Trump was president. If you're abrogating the global warming treaty, abrogate the Greada Treaty, the secret treaties with the reptilians. Well, we never got to do that. So that's the type of president that we need, that would abrogate the secret treaty with the reptilians. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying. And some say that these extraterrestrials monitor all of our broadcasts. So let's just say right now, us humans here on the planet, withdrawal from any agreements with the Draco, and you must stop taking the children and people now.
Amen. Yep, totally. And the police and military cannot obey those treaties, because that's why you have 250,000 American children disappearing every year, is because of the Greada Treaty, and the police and the military are complicit in that, and they're obeying the Dracos.
It's pretty insidious how it has slithered in and infiltrated all of these organizations. It's just incredible. But I do still believe there are far more good people than bad people.
Oh yeah,
And a lot of good
humans. Oh yeah. See, because Earth humans have Earth human souls, have divine human souls, and that's our value. That's why we're so valued. We have divine human souls, and that's why and I believe that there's objectivity to us, and that's why a divine son of universe incarnated here, Joshua ben Joseph, in the year 2000. And right now, my latest book is called A Revelation on the Life and Teachings of Jesus. You can go to Amazon, just enter my name and you'll find it. It's on pre-sale now at a deep discount through September. And Andy Bashago's research is in there, because Andy Bashago, as part of his time travel and secret time travel, was admitted to a top secret time travel video documentary that Project Pegasus made of the crucifixion of Jesus. Right. And actually saw that. Yep. And he has knowledge of a top secret video documentary time travel that was made of the resurrection. And it's exactly what was put out in the synoptic gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and also in an emergency epochal revelation that was given to the planet in 1955 because of all this disturbance going, called the Urantia book. And the last quarter of the Urantia book is on the life of Jesus. And in my book, I expose how the CIA and the intelligence agencies have attempted to infiltrate the Urantia revelation so that they would deflect. They've done what they've tried to deflect this revelation, and there's still the Lucifer rebellion going on inside the CIA to try and defeat the universe governance through. So we're still at a spiritual war. So I want to say that the reason why we're feeling this oppression is that the negative deep state is still actively suppressing everything that the universe governance has tried to give. Andy Bashago's whistleblowing is at the center of this, and you can order my new book at a deep discount by going to Amazon. It's called A Revelation on the Life and Teachings of Jesus. And so anyway, that's why I call Andy an epochal revelation and an epochal whistleblower, because he's connected to an epochal revelation.
Yes, several, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yes, and he did mention that in addition to seeing in the early 70s in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that movie of the footage of the chronovisor of the crucifixion, but also of the teachings of Jesus Christ. So he witnessed the teachings of Jesus Christ, and that's what you're talking about. That's
right.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And so that is part of the new. That is part of this new energy that is coming in with the ascension now.
Yes.
As we just clear out.
Yeah.
We clear out. We abrogate those treaties. We clear out the deep state from the Urantia revelation. We clear it out from everything that they've been trying to mess up and bring us down. And so that's the work that we're doing now.
Wow. And I know the AI is so jealous of our free eternal soul. They just don't get it. They're jealous as heck, and they'll destroy us because of it, but they're never going to get it. And I think the good guys always win in the end. So I think we're going to win. What's a very good point. What scares me, Alfred, are these, and I'm sure you've seen them, are these robots they're building. Some look like dogs, and they're putting like cannons on them, and these robots that are pretty much unstoppable. that scares me because you got hackers, right?
Yeah, and this is kind of going to get a field, and it might be a little curveball, but I think it's worth a mention. And Saudi Arabia is now building a whole city to the AI.
Oh boy.
And I did a study, and I have a blog called Tracking the Antichrist. Okay. I mean, we live in the age of Antichrist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But John of Patmos wrote a book, the Book of Revelation, which was a companion book. And it's like almost like a remote viewing of the future. And I know this might sound off the wall, but you can go to my blog, Tracking the Antichrist, and you'll see there, I could consider, like Tim Cohen has written a book, The Antichrist in a Cup of Tea, which looks at whether Prince Charles is the 666 Antichrist. And then you'll go and you'll look at other things. Some other people are putting out videos, 45 reasons why Donald Trump is the Antichrist, because of 666 Fifth Avenue, blah, blah, blah. I mean, everybody gets their turn at bat,
Yeah.
And so, but finally, you get to this guy whose initials are MBS. And the Antichrist is Mabus, M-A-B-S. And it's Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. And if you go to my blog, you'll see that we do the iconography there. And when John of Patmos, who wrote those passages in the book of Revelation around the Antichrist, that the same iconography, the Greek iconography for the number 666, is the same iconography as in the name of Allah. So that what John of Patmos was really saying is that the Antichrist is going to come in the name of Allah, namely Mabus, namely Mohammed bin Salman. Now, where is Joe Biden? Today is July 6th. And where is Joe Biden going to be July 13th to 16th? He's going to be in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Yeah. And what do they have there? A whole city built on the AI. Seriously.
Okay. Now, I've always thought
you can go there, and who is controlled by Mohammed bin Laden? A guy called Jared Kushner.
Wow.
And who controls? Who is the controller of Donald Trump?
I don't think nobody's
January
controlling.
6th.
I don't think no.
Who threw Donald Trump under the bus at the January 6th meetings, where we now have film that on January 6th, his daughter and Jared Kushner said, oh yeah, Donald should fight. He's got to fight this fraud. And then under oath, both Ivanka and Jared said, oh, there was no fraud. I believe it. They both threw Donald Trump under the bus. Okay. And they're under the control of Mohammed bin Laden, bin Salman.
Well, you're making a lot of
Connections.
assumptions, possibly.
Go to the bit. Go to the
Now,
go.
as far as the January, the 1/6 event, supposed event, Ray Epps has never been questioned. He was the one clearly saying the night before, we got to go inside the Capitol, and he was called out. It's on video everywhere. And
Who?
they're calling him Fed, and they're pointing at him. He said, "No, I'll probably go to jail for this, but I think we need to go inside the Capitol tomorrow." And his name is Ray Epps. Ray Epps. And the FBI refuses to question him because he's an FBI operative. The whole thing was set up. And there's ample footage to show it. Those doors were locked at the Capitol. It's one of the highest security buildings in the country. It's the Capitol.
Right.
And they're magnetically locked. You have to unlock that from the inside. So someone had to open those doors from the inside, and they let the people in. Now, the J6 people who were rounded up, 3 of them have committed suicide because they've kept them into solitary confinement. They won't let them talk to their lawyers. They're rotting in there. It's just horrible, the conditions. The guards aren't even American, and they're treating them like crap. So, and 3 days before January 6th, Trump offered 20,000 troops to help with, because there was going to be a big crowd. That was turned down by Nancy Pelosi and the mayor and the sergeant at arms who was killed recently. Because he said under oath that we should take a look at this. There was paid agitators, and some of the agitators were from Ukraine. Also, there's video footage of it. So this whole thing is just
I understand, but and here, click on that link. I just put a link there, and Donald J. Trump's daughter and son-in-law switched sides, and his son-in-law is in the pocket of Mohammed bin Salman, MBS.
Now the way I understood it, and this is what I from way back. Do you remember the shooting at Las Vegas? The big shooting at Las Vegas. Okay, that was an assassination attempt of Salman. They were going to kill Salman there. And the Trump administration found out about it, and they warned him, and he left before they got there. That's why they got all teed off, and they started shooting. First, they killed their contact guy, and then they broke the windows out and started shooting. And they went to all these clubs trying to find him because he went out in normal clothes. So, there's no way for us to know the whole truth.
I did a whole
We're just guessing.
analysis of that shooting with Ola Damagard as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But here, examine, put that link in the chat if you could.
Okay, hold on a second.
Just in the spirit of free speech.
Okay. This is the Exopolitics tracking 66.
Tracking 66 Antichrist.
Okay. Well, I hate to put those numbers in there.
No, it's 666 really means in the name of Allah. That's the breakthrough that we have. It means what John of Patmos was writing was in the name of Allah. And the Bible translators over the centuries have misinterpreted it.
You know, I've recently been listening to someone, or listened to once, this woman who was raised learning Aramaic, and they've gone back to the original, translation from Aramaic to Hebrew, and there was a lot of mistakes made.
Huge.
huge amount of mistakes. So, yeah, you think that we could get that all kind of ironed out, and you know what? We could, with Andy's help, we could go back with the chronovisor and verify all this stuff.
Of course, of
In the
course.
Bible. So yeah, I think that we each have maybe a piece of the puzzle,
Right.
or a piece of the puzzle, and there's no way we're all gonna like figure everything out.
But
But
here's a piece of the puzzle that I've been discussing with Andy, and I want to discuss it with you now. I don't know how much time we have left. Could you tell me?
sure, we've been going about an hour and 21 minutes now.
Oh, okay. How much time do we have left, though?
As much time as you want.
Oh, okay. I'll be brief.
Okay.
When I spent part of my career as a futurist at Stanford Research Institute, I told you, and that's where I went to do the work with the Jimmy Carter White House. When I arrived at the Futurist unit at Stanford Research Institute in January of 1977, the head of the Futurist unit, Willis Harman, the late Willis Harman, they had a contract with the CIA. It was to study a 50-year futurist, 50-year future. They were doing a 50-year future study for the CIA. And I was pulled aside and I was told, Alfred, in the future, the US is going to break up into a number of parts, okay? We don't know if that's 10 parts or 5 parts, but it's going to be broken up, okay? It's going to be balkanized. And my understanding is that that's a leak that was coming through from Project Pegasus, that they had seen through the time travel, the US being broken up, whether it's broken up into what they call the red states versus the blue states, Ecotopia, etc., Bible Belt. But that's a trend. And now with the developments of 2016, of 2020, of January 6th, with the trends of the current Supreme Court, where you have a cabal of 5 right-wing justices who lied their way onto the Supreme Court. 3 of them did.
What?
Yeah, 3 of them did. 3 of them said they would not overrule Roe. And they did. Three.
Well, you know what though, Alfred, I grew up in a very liberal household.
Yeah.
And I proudly called myself pro-choice, because who am I to say what a woman can do? But it's when you take a step back and look at what's happened with 63 million children, and less than 1% was for the reasons that everyone cites it, and the Church of Satan was begging to keep abortions because that's their blood sacrament. I mean, when you boil it all down, it's just anything that's anti-natural is Satanist, and a birth of a baby is a natural thing, and interfering with that is a Satanist act, or could be.
Well, the thing is that the Urantia book says that the soul does not enter the fetus until the 3rd month, so that you are not killing a divine entity until the 3rd month, which is 90 days.
Well, but how do we really know about the Urantia? You just said that the Urantia might be compromised. Maybe it was compromised.
No. not the revelation itself, the propagation. In other words, they are interfering with the propagation, with the divine information on the planet. Now, what I'm trying to say is that right now, the duality and the separation that's being put in place, and the utter separation between red and blue states, like around Roe and other issues, is manifesting what was told to me in January of 1977. And that is that the United States is going to break up into different nations. It might break up into a red nation and a blue nation. So you'll have a president of a red nation and a president of a blue nation. Look, right now, I just watched an interview with the district attorney of DeKalb County in Georgia, and she is not going to enforce the Supreme Court's opinion at all. And so there goes the law of the land. It's done. It's toast. So that what was told to me about the disunion is starting to manifest, and that's being done by the deep state.
Right. And the
media. Deep state is disuniting.
And the media.
Yeah. And the abortion thing is not cut and dry. I mean, my job before moving to Canada was that I was an administrator of an award-winning community health center in Brownsville, Texas, at the Mexican-Texas border. I oversaw 20 physicians, 120 nurses, and 90,000 patient encounters a year.
Wow.
Okay. And if the soul does not enter the fetus until the third month, typically in a typical incarnation, and this matches up with the research in my 3 books on the Omniverse. In the typical incarnation, the soul leaves the spiritual dimension, teleports through a portal in the spiritual dimension, comes up to next to the womb of the mother in the 3rd month and integrates into the fetus in the 3rd month. And that is consistent with what's in the Urantia revelation. And that's independent, scientifically verified research using more than 7,000 cases of soul memories of the interlife.
Okay.
So that's, yeah. So,
well, but let me just say this. I do know that it is, and that might be true. I'm not saying it isn't, but I also do know that recently, and they even photographed it, when the sperm enters the egg, there's a flash of light. And some believe that it's that flash of light, let there be light, that is the beginning of not only the physical life, but the spiritual life. So, I don't know. Maybe the chronovisor, maybe the chronovisor can help us with this.
Yeah. You have the
because so you understand that once the soul is in, that it's probably not a good idea to remove it. And so, am I reading it right?
No, right. But you have the case last week of the 10-year-old girl who was pregnant because of incest.
Oh, terrible.
Who had to go from Ohio to Indiana. You see, this is, and if you're in the medical industry, you understand that this is commonplace. Look,
but now
I was.
You look at the amount of money that Planned Parenthood makes from selling the parts to companies like Simonex, that is a flavor enhancer company. They use these fetal cells because they can take on the flavor of anything. And so they get us to eat our own children. It's part of the satanic plan. The whole thing, the satanic blood sacrifice of the abortion, and then the selling of the parts to get people to consume it, to finish their loop of evil. I mean, it's, I never thought of it this way before, but the more you dig into it, and they make billions
Well,
on this.
I would submit that is part and parcel of the Greada treaties. That is part of the regime that the U.S. establishment put in place, starting with Franklin Delano Roosevelt signing the first treaty in 1932, Dwight Eisenhower signing the Greada Treaty in 1954, and George H.W. Bush signing the Tau 9 Treaty with the Dracos, which set up this draconian empire, so that everything comes from that. Wow. And that those abuses then can be rectified, but rationally, and that victims of incest, 10-year-old victims of incest, do not have to be forced to carry a child to term, because there is no soul in there prior to the 3 months. And if you listen to the district attorney of DeKalb, Georgia, she says, well, there are 3,000 abortions a year in DeKalb, Georgia, versus 5,000 serious criminal prosecutions. That's half our load. Again, what am I going to do? Turn my criminal prosecutions to prosecute women? No, I'm not going to do that. None of those men. And now, Justice, I went to Yale. I went to Yale Law School. So, and Justice Kavanaugh, I went to Georgetown Prep and Yale Law School, just like Justice Kavanaugh, and Justice Thomas went to Yale Law School. Thomas, and so what do they know? They now want to take away the right to contraception. They want to take away the right to speech. This is a right-wing cabal who are being manipulated by the deep state agenda to break up the United States.
I think it's on both sides. There's good and bad in both. There's good Democrats, bad Democrats, good Republicans, bad Republicans. But there's
it's an agenda of destabilization and manipulation, which is going to end up by the destruction of this body politic, because it is an unlawful, illegitimate opinion. They have become a legislature. They become a super legislature. It was Justice Roberts who wrote a proper opinion and who said we do not have to overturn Roe, and he based it on the law, not on this political extremism. They have become ayatollahs in black robes.
Well, it just kicks it back to the states, right? Because now the states can.
But it's chaos at the states, because you're now enforcing laws that go back to the Civil War, And now you have, in Georgia, you have this county, this prosecutor is not going to enforce it, but this county, this prosecutor is. So you're having whole states that are going to go into chaos.
Yeah.
You can't excuse it. It's chaos.
Well, now I'm a very big optimist, and I think that there's far more that unites all of us. We're all Americans. We all want the same basic things for our family. And, I grew up in, like I said, in a very liberal family. And in fact, my grandma, she was a big DFLer in Minnesota. It's Democratic Farm Labor. And
Right.
so she was very popular. She was 4'0". And at the conventions, they said, oh, you could always find Margaret Irby. She was the hole in the crowd where no, you can't see anybody. But now one of my mom's sisters
She's
married.
very close to the spelling of my name.
One of my mom's sisters married a farmer, Mr. Gordon Martin, solid guy, Republican. So I'm like, and he was the nicest guy you ever want to meet. Collects old tractors, salt of the earth, just the best guy in the world. And I was always like, I thought they were supposed to be the bad guys, but he is the nicest guy in the world. And what happened to me, and I got to tell you this quick story. Like I said, I was a Democrat, raised in a Democrat family. There was this politician in our area in Minnesota, Mound, Minnesota, birthplace of Tonka Toys. Tad Jude. He'd come to our house and he'd talk about politics. And when I was at school, he'd come to our elementary school. And then when I got my own house, he came to my house. And I said, you know what, Tad, I really admire you. You go to door to door, you talk to the people. I really admire the way you do politics. He said, wow. He said, thank you. I don't usually ask people this, but I'm doing a parade next week. Do you want to come and help hand out stickers? I said, I'd be delighted to. Because he was a Democrat, and he was Tad Jude. He was keeps in touch with the people. So I get down there, and this is in the before Clinton was nominated, right before Bill Clinton was nominated. And I'm down there with this other young guy. We're handing out stickers, cool stickers. And I said, hey, did you hear? I think Bill Clinton's probably going to win the nomination, and he's probably going to be president. So I bet Tad's pretty excited about that. And he said, no, Tad's not very excited about that. I said, what? Why not? He goes, oh, didn't you hear? Hear what? He switched. He's a Republican now. Tad Jude's a Republican. I said, what? I took the stickers and I threw them at him. I said, I'm out of here. And now, years later, I'm thinking back at my former self. I'm ashamed at myself because it was the things he did, going door to door to keep in touch with the people, that I really admired about him. It wasn't the label necessarily. It was the way he did it. And what happened was, after he was a Republican for a while, he went to be a judge. And if you think about it, that's like the perfect precursor to being a judge, to be on both sides. So I think we're so tribal in, you want to belong to a side, you want to belong to the good side. But we have to start pointing out the good things about the other side to each other, because there are far more good things than there are bad things. I just really have great hope for unity. I always have. And I just really think that we can do it. I think we can do it, Alfred.
Well, one would hope. I just came here to point out that in January of 1977, at the Futurist Unit at Stanford Research Institute, which had a contract with the CIA on 50-year futures, I was pulled aside and told that the United States was going to break up.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm watching now In fact, I have a draft book on my desktop here, and the title of it is Time Bandits.
Ooh.
You know that, and I'm just watching. I'm looking at how the chronography is manipulating one side against the other to disassemble the United States.
Yeah, I think you might.
And so that's all. I mean, I am for unity as well, and so I'm not coming here to advocate unity. I'm coming here to just say, hey, this is a warning, and I really want to warn people because I've never seen such polarization. Structural polarization.
Right. And it started a long time ago, and Jimmy Carter was always one of my favorite presidents, and I think maybe going up in that UFO helped him because during his presidency, those are 4 years that we weren't involved in wars. There was no bombs dropped, right? So I think, and I always thought when I was a kid, they should put all world leaders up into space so they can look down.
Amen.
And look down on the planet and go, wow, we better take care of this fragile little egg down here. I think that would be a huge thing. You look what happened to William Shatner when they sent him up. He's a changed man now. Have you seen him?
Tell me more about that.
He went up in the Blue Origin's spaceship several months ago, and it just popped up into the upper atmosphere, into space, and for a while had zero gravity, and then it came back down, and he was like a new man. He wants to save the planet, and he's just like this new man. It's incredible.
Well, maybe that's a sort of leader that we need, and hopefully, I think it's going to take some sort of cosmic over control that will over control all of these deeper impulses that are trying to break us apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see, because I really don't like ending on a on this kind of negative note.
Well,
but I thought I would just bring that up.
It's something you learned, and it might actually be even some of that microfilm that Andy brought back from 2045. That was the history from the 70s to 2045.
Right.
So that might have been some of that information that you were privy to. So that's really interesting. Wow. So amazing. Now, do you remember seeing Jimmy Carter on board that craft?
No. You see, we've determined that Jimmy Carter, that in terms of Earth time, Jimmy Carter's experience was in 1969. Oh. That's when he had his experience.
Okay.
And then he filed his UFO sighting report in 1973. I had my experience in 1974, and that's when Andy Bashago saw me. But when you're up there, there's no time, so we're up there and we're outside of time.
Right.
So that is where. Because prior to that, I was just an environmental lawyer with no connection to Jimmy Carter and no connection to UFOs. And then all of a sudden I'm down here and I'm, in the midst of exopolitics, UFOs, Jimmy Carter,
wow,
etc.
Well, I really thought he was a good president. And, the one thing that he did, I admired too, in addition to putting solar panels on the White House, but he did a PSA. He put on a sweater and he turned down the thermostat. He said, we're turning down our thermostat at the White House to 68. If we all pitch in, we can. And, we all did pitch in. and we all did make a difference. And I remember my parents, they got a lot of tax breaks for insulating their house and putting new insulative siding on it. We saved money on all of our, utilities and made our house better. And it was just a cool start to what, should have been the future. Now, those solar companies, there should be massive breakthroughs with solar panels. There really hasn't been. That needs to be an area of study to advance solar cells so they're super energy efficient and that they work much, much better than they do, because they don't work very well.
Right. Yeah, well, Jimmy Carter was a human soul president. So
yes, he was a great guy. And if you ever want to read any books that he read, read some books that he read. He's a great writer. And, I think that the history books say he was the worst ever. I really don't think that,
that is disinformation.
That's the warmongering cabal trying to squash peace.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You
gotta take it all with a grain of salt.
I hope that what I've been able to present tonight has been a positive addition to your
yes,
cosmos.
definitely. Yes, definitely. It's very excited to have you, and we'd love to have you back again too, because I think we're just scratching the surface, because
good.
You've got an incredible life that you've lived so far. You've done so much, and I know there's more that we can discover. So I want to thank you for joining us here, and thank you, and thank you to Andrew Bishago for befriending both of us and sharing your wonderful stories, and as a result, Alfred's got some amazing books, which are the perfect precursor to when Andy comes out with his landmark book, which is coming.
Exactly.
So you're doing a great service, and go to the Omniverse, the omniverse.info.
Yeah.
And sign yourself up.
Omniversity.us and omniversity.info.
That's it. I knew you'd have it. Well, thank you very much, Alfred Lambremont Webre, with the best middle name in the business. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Great.
Peace in.
There we go.